today. And for those of you coming to us from Eventbrite, thank you so much as well. We are going to have a live coaching hour with Coach Robbi on what to do if you have too many interests. So we're super excited to have everybody here today. And here is a little agenda. We're going to do some introductions real quick, talk logistics of how this is going to work because it's slightly different than our normal webinars, and then jump right into the coaching. And so for those of you coming to us from Eventbrite, we are Vida. We're a life, health and wellness, leadership and career coaching company. And my name is Justice, and I'm one of the relationship strategists on the team. And what that means is when you're ready to talk about coaching and explore what that could look like for you, you're going to schedule time to speak with someone on my team's calendar, and we'll have a half-hour conversation where we'll ask you some deeper questions just to get to know more about you, your current situation, and what your end goals are. And then hopefully at the end of that call, we'll be able to pair you up with one of the coaches on our team that are most appropriately suited for you. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to my calendar because it is first come, first serve. And anybody who does come to us from a webinar gets your first session free. So something to consider as you are budgeting or just thinking through things as we get ready to start the new year. With that being said, a little bit more about how this is going to work. So this is a little bit different than our normal webinars, as I mentioned. So if you want to have a one-on-one conversation with Robbi, raise your hand in Zoom, located down below at the bottom of your screen, and we will call on people. We'll try to keep a line of people going. But also, if you don't feel like coming off of mute and on camera to speak with Robbi, which is totally fine, go ahead and write some of your questions in the chat. And then when we run out of people that want to talk, we'll go ahead and go through those questions in the chat to make sure we can get through as many questions as possible. One ask is that remember that this is being recorded and will be sent to everyone here, as well as posted on our YouTube channel afterwards. So be careful with how much you want to share because of that recording piece of it. But with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Coach Robbi, who is going to lead us out today. So Robbi, the floor is yours.
All right. So while I share a little bit about me, I want you all in the chat to answer a couple questions, if you will. Okay. So the first question is, have you always found it difficult to focus on just one thing because you have so many interests? Again, have you always found it difficult to focus on just one thing because you have so many interests? And if yes, just give me a ballpark number about how many primary interests do you think you have? And if not, when was the last time you successfully focused on just one interest? And that's, of course, based on your own definition of success. So again, have you always found it difficult to focus on just one thing because you have many interests? And if yes, give me a ballpark figure about how many primary interests you have. And then if not, when was the last time you successfully focused on just one interest? Okay. The second question that I want you to consider and sharing in the chat is, has anyone said anything to you about your many interests that may have caused you to question if something's not quite right or if something is maybe wrong with you? And what did they actually say? What was the phrase or the word or whatever they might have said in relation to that, if you can remember? So the second one is, has anyone said anything to you about your many interests that caused you to question, is there something wrong with me? Like, should I really just have one? So that's what I want to know. Okay. And what did they say? I'm really curious to know what that individual or individuals have said. So thank you for taking time to put that in the chat. That's always helpful because I always feel like I have a small sample size with all of these and then the clients that I've worked with. So I love to hear because it helps me to be able to support my client base better by understanding what's going on and what's being thought and said, et cetera. So thank you for that. So a little bit about me. I serve as a life and career coach with Vida. I've had tens of positions across the major sectors: corporate, academia, nonprofit, as well as on my own businesses. I'm a sociologist by training, so both of my degrees are in that space. And I also serve as a coach and mentor and advocate for kids who experience foster care and homelessness. And then on the fun side, I love Zumba. I am actually thinking about going back into being a Zumba instructor again, which I'm excited about. I'm a fiber artist, love yarn, big screen fan, just saw Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, loved it. avid reader, crazy curious, own my own creativity, and I challenge myself every day to be open, to stay open to the possibilities. So overall, I love this, being able to help individuals like you really figure out what it is they want to do, get some clarity around that, and then go get it. So let's go ahead and get started with the coaching. So what I want you to do is, when you are on screen to chat with me, if you will, because we want to make sure we create space for as many people as possible while we're here. So I invite you to kind of summarize your immediate concern within a minute, if at all possible. Give me your name, where you're located, because we'd all love to know that. And what is your biggest challenge around this topic right now? Okay. I'm ready.
All right. Does anyone want to go first? Because we currently have nobody in line. All you got to do is raise your hand and I will spotlight you with Robbi. All right. We have Lynn. Lynn, thank you so much. And then we've got iPad 2 after Lynn. So Lynn, would you be able to come on camera, off, just mute? What would you prefer? All right. Thank you so much. I'll let you.
Hi.
And here you go.
How are you?
Hi, my name is Lynn. I'm in New York City.
Okay.
And my biggest concern is I have a degree, a master's degree in social work, which I really am burned out. So I really don't look forward to doing a full-time social work position. And so for the past 14 years, I've been teaching dance classes, chair yoga classes. So I use my social work degree to kind of like create programs and do wellness classes. And I love it. I'm very happy with that. And I was recently diagnosed with MS. So I've been working from home and I've been going through treatment, and I started having infusions. So I look forward to getting healthier next year, but not to the capacity that I was before the pandemic. So with that said, I'm exploring my options as to working from home, working part-time outside, and that's where I'm at. So I've been taking art classes, trying to see if I can develop some art programs with the dancing and the yoga and meditation. And like you, I'm like, I have a lot of interest, and it's like, I try to put them to work for me to make money out of my health, use my personal experience to my advantage, right? Serve people and share with them what helps me. So with that said, that's where I'm at.
Okay, so what is your exact question? Tell me what your question is, so I can go from there and go forward.
How can I feel confident in putting everything together and claiming what I want to do, right? Without feeling judged or feeling like I'm not living up to that education that I pursued, and not feeling like I'm less of a professional.
Okay. So first of all, whatever you chose to focus on and pursue in that education, obviously that's yours and you're proud of that, right? And if you decide that you don't want to continue in that space, perhaps you're done with that for now. Maybe you'll return to it, maybe you won't. But it's about you embracing that. This is your journey, and you get to decide when to pivot and when to stay the course. And so if that's a space, I noticed you use the word burned out, right? And I've been hearing that a lot from individuals who are in the social work space, who are in the helping space, period. And so for those of you who want to shift out of that, that's in no way, shape, or form discarding what you have built, what you studied, what you've accomplished. You're standing on that, and you will forever stand on that. And you're going to be taking the knowledge and experience that you have with that to move into these other areas that you're interested in. It's up to you to really embrace what it is that you love to do and how you want to contribute and serve. So my question to you is, why are you doubting that? Do you think that those other paths that you want to incorporate into your life, are they less than what you've been doing in social work? How do you feel about them?
No, I don't. Actually, I feel that it's amazing that I'm able to expand, and my social work experience and education led me to see a vision 14 years ago of wellness and how there was a need for accessible yoga and accessible exercise. But then when you hear your family, your children, your partner, judging you and looking down on you like what you're doing is just nonsense, right? Because they don't realize all the work and all the knowledge and experience that you need to actually get this type of work done.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes a toll on your mental health
Yes.
and your
Yes.
confidence and your self-concept as a professional.
And I should say it can, right? Rather than it does. It can if we allow it. Because those people care about us, our family and friends, they care about us and they want the best for us. And a lot of times it's like, wow, you invested all this time in this and you're just going to give it away. And it's just because they don't understand. So for you, the best response to that is your passion to continue to move in the direction that you want to go. For some people who have multiple interests, they want to have multiple streams of income with that. For some people with multiple interests, they may choose maybe one or two streams of income and then engage in volunteer work, hobbies, doing other things. But the idea is, if it's something that calls to you that you really want to do, and there are multiple different pathways, find a way to be able to incorporate them in some way, shape, or form. And everything isn't going to take a path that leads to compensation. You have to decide what path is going to actually bring you the money that you need to be able to live the kind of lifestyle that you want. So you're going to need to know, well, how much money is it going to take for me to live monthly, yearly, right? What's your lifestyle? What's that criteria, and prioritize what's most important. And then from there, find the work that fits into that, that will be able to provide the compensation that you need, whether it's one path, two paths, three paths. I've even experienced 4 paths in my career earlier, where I was working 4 different things, right? Juggling and doing 4 and having 4 different streams of income. But you have to figure out what's the right fit for you. I don't know if that's sustainable for everyone over time. It wasn't for me over time. However, you have to figure that out. But one thing is, have confidence in what it is that you love to do. If it nourishes your soul, if you feel really strongly about it, the biggest response that you can have to them is to continue to do it without wavering. And that'll show them that she's really serious about this and she's going to make it happen.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And all the best, Lynn.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
so
Thanks
much,
for
Lynn.
coming on. I appreciate it. Where was
All right.
iPad 2? I know that's not her name.
Here we go.
So iPad 2, who are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm iPad 2. This is Heather Davis here.
Oh, Heather. Hey.
Yeah. I won't take up too much time here because I know you got other people on the call, Robbi, and we have a one-on-one tomorrow scheduled at 11, which I'm so excited about because I've done some background work, some of the modules. I've kind of narrowed it down to about 5 different things that I'm looking at. I have a psychology degree from the University of Madison, Wisconsin. But, life kind of got in the way. I lived in New York for a long period of time, had a lot of sales positions in my life, and I never did go back to get a master's to become a therapist. And at this point in my life, I feel like I don't know if I want to spend that kind of money or time on a full master's program. So I was looking at some certifications that I could add to what I already have. And a few of them are like behavioral therapist to work with kids with ADHD or autism. And some of those seem really interesting. So I'm kind of in the process of figuring out what to pursue. And as you mentioned to Lynn, kind of budgeting and looking at the ROI. So I guess my specific question would be, aside from putting it on, should I put it electronically? I've got all these notebooks. I don't want to date myself, but back when I went to college, we used a pen and paper. So I'm so used to writing stuff down. And now I have all these notes and they're not very organized, even though I feel I'm an organized person. So do you think having it electronically, like Google Docs or like an Excel spreadsheet, may be helpful, or I'm not sure.
You mean, so what's on these notes again? I think I missed what's on the notes.
Yeah, on the notes are
these notes related to your interests and what you want to do?
Yep, they're related to the actual job title. Okay. And then what would be required certification wise for each one of those, and then potential pay and what the certification, like the length, how much it costs, what the return on investment would be. And it's just kind of spiraled out of control at this point.
Okay, so this is more of an organization question around how to take all of this information related to these different pathways to see what's happening. So there are a lot of really cool tools that you can use. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, but a couple of them escape me, but I would definitely look up an organizational tool to be able to do it. For example, there's a organizational tool called Trello that I love. It's free, where you can, it's almost like you have online sticky notes, and you can add to-dos and you can add all kind of things in there, reminders, etc. That's one that just comes to mind off the top of my head. And there are others to be able to organize your thoughts, because you're right. I'm a writer too, but I've transitioned slowly onto using digital tools to be able to help organize that. Because when you have free-flowing thoughts and you're trying to get all that together, sticky notes and pages and all of that can really get, like you said, it can kind of clog up things. And you want to be able to, I don't know if you're a visual person or not, but to be able to use something that's colorful, the color just, oh, I love it with Trello. So when you use something that's visual and you can easily move things around with Trello, it's just amazing. It's fun. But I can think of, I'll see if I can think of any others. And when we get together, if I have some recommendations, I'll share them with you, okay?
Actually, I love the idea of Trello. My husband uses it all the time. So right there, I'll just start exploring it. It's on this iPad. It's his Trello. So I would do my own on the computer downstairs. But thank you. That's really good.
Free. The thing about it is you can get a premium one, right? But it's probably, most people underutilize it, but it has a lot of, you can do all kinds of things with Trello. So definitely try that.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I look forward to our chat tomorrow. Yay.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, who's next? Let's chat.
Thank you so much, Heather.
Yes.
All right. All right, we have Taylor. Give me 1 second and I will, there's an L. My apologies, but there you go.
Hi.
Thanks. Sorry, it's Lindsay. It's my last name came up for some reason.
Lindsay.
I guess my question is, I'm trying to decide, I want to pursue a master's degree. I have a bachelor's in business and economics. I'm currently working for an investment management company, but I'm just finding the work completely boring. And I don't have a lot of, I want to do more. Like I want to have more autonomy. I want to have more like management type of a role. I've always been interested in psychology, but when I was in college, I didn't think that I could turn that into a career. So I chose something that I thought was more practical, and I went the business route. So I'm considering different master's programs because I really do want to pursue more education and become more of an expert in a field. And I'm very interested in industrial and organizational psychology. I'm taking a class in that right now. And I think that would be a good transition from my business background to my psychology interests. But I'm also very, very interested in the straight like clinical psychology side of things. Like I'd almost rather prefer to study that, but I'm not sure that I would like to do that as a career. So I'm trying to decide which route to take. like, I'm very interested in the corporate business world, but I'm also very interested in like the healthcare clinical world. And I don't know how to think about that and decide sort of which path to take. Or should I just do a master's in straight psychology and then have the option to do the industrial or organizational side? Or do you think I really need to focus in on that specific career path if that's what I want to do? If that makes sense.
I think I understand what you're asking. So when it comes to getting more education, I'm in the camp of be clear that that's what you want before you commit to it, because you're committing time, energy, effort, money, resources. And I hear all the time people pursuing a particular path that they thought they wanted, and they've invested all of that, and now they feel like, man, did I waste it? Did I waste my time? So my encouragement to everyone is to get crystal clear before you say yes to more education, because it's expensive and it does require a commitment on your part. What I would suggest you do, or before I even make a suggestion, let me ask a question. What have you done to explore these two paths so far?
Well, that's the thing. And before I become crystal clear on what I actually want, I would ask the question, what should I do to become crystal clear on that?
Okay.
Because I'm taking a class in industrial and organizational psychology right now just to sort of test the waters to see if I like it, but I haven't worked in the field. So I don't actually know what the career would be like working in it day in and day out.
Got it. So in that case, because you're taking a class, you have access, first of all, to a professor, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would connect with him or her, and I would ask either to spend a little time in an informational interview with them to find out a little bit more. And I typically challenge clients to come up with 20 questions that you would ask someone about going down that path. How did you get into this path? How long did it take? What kind of education? What are the pros and cons? What does the day-to-day look like? What advice would you give someone who's wanting to explore it? What would you do differently, etc.? There are several articles. If you go and just do a Google search and you type in informational interviews, in particular, you can type in informational interviews and then The Muse. The Muse has really great articles, and you can actually sign up for their career articles to get them. And I think they have one that has as many as 200 questions that you can ask on an informational interview, and they help you to understand the benefits of that. I am a diehard advocate of having informational interviews. If you can shadow someone, if at all possible. I don't know if people are taking advantage of that like they should, but obviously, as much as you can have those conversations with individuals who are doing what you said you want to do. And my recommendation is to try to find someone who just started that, try to find someone who's maybe been doing it for about 5 years, and find someone who's made a career out of it. You're going to get 3 different perspectives based on the length of time and experience that those individuals have along that path. You can also find podcasts. I know Adam Grant is an organizational psychologist. I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but you can look for people who are engaged in those or along those paths doing those things to be able to find out about, their background. Oftentimes, if they have websites, find out what their education, what their path was. Maybe check them out on social media and see what they're posting about or what they're doing. We have access to so much information to be able to explore pathways before actually signing on the dotted line, so to speak, before you jump in and say, I'm going to do that. So I hope that's helpful. Is that helpful, Lindsay?
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you.
You're very welcome. LinkedIn is a great resource for that as well. You're right. If you type in, say, hashtag organizational psychology in the search at the top, what'll pop up are people, organizations, and jobs. And so you can definitely look at individuals that you may find that you are directly or indirectly linked to someone who you can ask for an informational interview as well. So yes, LinkedIn is a very great, solid resource for that as well.
Okay, great. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
All right, thank you so much.
Who's next? Let's chat.
Okay, who has a question would like to go next? We currently have nobody in the queue.
Okay, so if I have no one in the queue, let me share a couple of things here. I just lost my sheet, so hold on a second. For those of you who are here, who are listening, I have a few journaling questions. So let me just share one. And when we have a little break in between coaching questions, I'll share another one. So here's the first journaling question that I would encourage you to take some time to just grab a notebook or a journal and just write about. What if you didn't have to choose? Those of you who are here, I'm assuming that you're here because you have multiple interests. And again, sometimes what happens, to Lynn's point earlier, we get to thinking that maybe there's something wrong with us. Someone has said something, or when you just think about yourself, maybe you get bored easily. Maybe you feel like it's hard to make a commitment to something, or maybe you get paralyzed with fear, or maybe you're procrastinating because you're afraid that you'll make a wrong decision from your many different interests. Or maybe you find yourself not really finishing anything. There are a lot of these that kind of tie into that whole thing around having multiple interests. So those of us who have that, we're typically called either jack of all trades or scanners, Renaissance men and women, generalists, hummingbirds, multi-potentialites. We could probably go on with the names. So that question, journaling question, what if you didn't have to choose? What if you found a way to embrace all of those interests and incorporate them in your life? So explain how you would feel when you journal. What would that look like to embrace all of those interests if you were to try to figure out a way to incorporate them in your life? And of course, it depends on how many. But what would it look like? So that's the first journaling question. And I saw a hand come up.
Yep, so we'll stop with the first journaling question for now, and then we'll
Yep.
take this hand, and then we'll come back to that.
Absolutely.
So we have J-Rod, the floor is yours.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hi,
How
how are
are you?
you? What's your first name?
My name is Joseph, Josaf. Yeah, Joseph.
Okay, Joseph, how can I help?
Great. Well, I'm out here in Monterey, California,
Okay.
and really interested in this question is, what if you have too many interests?
Yeah.
Which I do. I feel that I have many interests. I have a background, a military veteran, background in organizational leadership degrees. So when I jump onto something, I get it done. You know, I'm kind of, I'm into the accomplishment mode thing. And, but I love a lot of things. You know, I love to cook. I love to teach. I'm a master carpenter. I'm a gardener, you name it. As I'm getting a bit older, I feel that I don't have as much energy to be able to manage all these things.
Okay.
And so it's kind of tough to narrow down stuff when I like all flavors.
You want to do all of them, right?
I want to do all of them, yes. And I've tried to do project management and so forth, but I think for me to be able to sustain all these interests, I got to really narrow down what it is that I like. And, you know, I feel like I always, you know, around every corner I turn, you hear about what's your passion, what's your goal, what's your life goal. And so I've been placing a lot of thought into it, and I just can't seem to put my finger on it because many interests.
Got it, exactly. So when it comes to many different interests, it's not that we can't do them. We can't do them all at the same time, right?
That's correct, yes.
So what's important maybe for you to consider, Joseph, is to think about, you can think about it a few different ways. For some people, it's about where's the low-hanging fruit. So what's the thing that I can immediately grab and benefit from, right? That allows me to contribute the way I want to contribute, that nourishes my soul, that makes me happy. I love your smile, that makes me smile, makes me feel good, makes me feel like I'm doing something. Because when we have multiple interests, we're obviously wanting to, because we're human beings, we want to contribute in some way. but it also makes us happy too. And we feel fulfilled and we feel proud of the things that we're able to do. So when you think about all of the things that you're able to do, maybe ask yourself, what must I do? What is it that I can't not do right now? And see if you can, first of all, list all your interests. That's one thing I would encourage you to do. Just get a pad and list everything that you're interested in, just an exhaustive list. And then on that list, Joseph, I want you to rate each one based on how hot it is versus how cold. You know they're all interests, but which ones are the hot interests? Like when you write it down and you say it, like you get excited about it, like really excited. And then once you rate them, take the top ones, maybe from instead of 1 to 10, maybe 1 to 5. And then take the 4s and 5s and look at them and maybe put them on sticky notes. I don't know if you're a visual person and if you've got some sticky notes handy, put them on the wall and for the next 2 or 3 days, move them around and see how it feels. Like, what if I did just these couple right now? And then move it around. What if I did these couple and see how it feels, right? See how it feels. Because when we have multiple interests, again, we can't do everything at the same time. But my question would be, what can I do now? Or what can I do next? And what is my bandwidth? Does my bandwidth allow me to do 2 things, 3 things? You talked about getting older and not having the energy. So what is that bandwidth? How much can you actually devote? And then kind of prioritize which ones are most important based on how they feel and what you want. Are you looking for something related to compensation, or what are you looking for?
I think I've being, by my past careers, I feel I'm financially independent. So the monetary has nothing to do with it. I think it's more of just maybe that sense of like, okay, time is getting shorter as you get older, and the energy also kind of goes away a bit. So narrowing down more of like, what is my number one interest? What do I really want to do? And I just love it. I'm just I just like it all. It's just fun.
Right. So just space it out. You don't have any, I love that you don't even have to worry about the money. So that's even more exciting. I would love to just talk to you about this more just because it's exciting, because money is not a part of the equation. And oftentimes when money is a part of it, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So for you, maybe divide your year into quarters, and maybe insert some of those interests into each quarter. First quarter 2023, this is what I'm going to do. Second quarter 2023, this is what I'm going to do. And then as you do that over the years, some things will probably rise to the top that really get you excited. And so do more of that. I love the fact that you're not connected, that money's not in part of the equation. So have fun with it. Is that helpful at all?
It is very helpful. It's helpful for getting, I've never asked the specific question and gotten any feedback. And when I saw this here, I was like, oh, I need to get on this Zoom here. I need to find out, because this has been lingering on in my mind and my heart for a long time.
Yeah, but get started. Yeah.
And that you don't really ask these questions of folks around, because it just, sometimes I just feel that maybe some people are not in that place. So they're not really going to be, it's not gonna be very conducive to talk to folks that way, because they're not in that place. And so now I feel like, oh, I'm in that place because I'm talking to somebody here that understands it.
There's one thing that I feel compelled to share with you. There's an author, Emily Wapnick, W-A-P-N-I-C-K, who wrote a book called How to Be Everything, a guide for those who still don't know what they want to be when they grow up. It's a cool book, but she's also started a community of what she calls multi-potentialites. So people like us who have multiple interests, and she's about to open up that community again with members at the end of November. And so check out her website. Again, it's Emily, M-E-I-L-I-E, Wapnick, W-A-P-N-I-C-K. And just check it out and see if this is something that's of interest. Because it's something when you get in your tribe of people who have multiple interests, because this isn't the dominant way of thinking about things. Everyone wants us to specialize and niche and find one path and just do that for the rest of your life. And there are some of us that are like, no, boredom, routine, monotony is like our kryptonite. No, I'm not doing it. So see if that is something that would be helpful for you, okay?
Great, thank you so much. I appreciate it. A lot of great information, Robbi.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go out and grab a dozen cupcakes and a jug of milk after
You
this.
go do it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph.
All right.
Take
Thank you
care.
so much, Joseph.
Thank you.
All right. So Robbi, do you want to go back to your question?
Yes,
one? We have no one in line.
absolutely.
Or question two?
I've
What
got
are
a
you-
second journaling question for you all. The question is that I want you to write about, what if you accepted that you're just wired this way? How would this shift or change your life? Because again, there are folks, to Lynn's point and others that I've talked to so far, that may believe that, again, they're looking at it from a dominant culture perspective, where we're constantly told, you need to find that one thing and focus on that. And those of us who aren't wired that way, what if we just accepted that that's how we're wired? How would that shift things for us if we were to just accept that? And now, similar to what I just shared with Joseph, whether your decision around what you are interested in is tied to generating an income or not, to be able to just list all of your interests, whatever they are, just shake them all out onto a piece of paper and just look at them. And then again, determine on a scale of maybe 1 to 5, how hot are they? And then decide what's next. If it's something where you need to generate income, so what is it that's going to give you the biggest ROI, return on your investment, from an income perspective? There are ways to be able to look at it. In addition to the resource that I mentioned with Emily Wapnick, there's another one that I just consider like my multiple interests Bible almost. And that was the one by Barbara Sher, Refuse to Choose. Can't see it, but that's another one where she says, use all of your interests, passions, hobbies to create the life and career of your dreams. This book changed things for me. It was a game changer when I read it in 2006. Another one is The Renaissance Soul by Margaret Lobenstein. And then finally, El Luna's The Crossroads of Should and Must, Find and Follow Your Passion. So there are a lot of different strategies to be able to help you to navigate this whole road of having so many interests and where do I go? Because it's easy to get paralyzed and not know what to do next. I would love to talk to another person who's here listening.
Yes. So actually, we had a question in the chat. Cass showed up late, and she just, is there anything specific we're trying to address here? So Robbi, you want to give a little overview for Cass, who missed the introduction to the session?
What we're trying to address is what's brought everyone here. I'm assuming the title is, I have too many interests. So these are for folks who maybe have been called jack of all trades. Maybe they're scanners based on Barbara Sher's work, Renaissance women and men, generalists, hummingbirds. I think Elizabeth Gilbert mentioned that in a Super Soul presentation years ago. Multi-potentialites based on Emily Wapnick's work. So in other words, individuals who have multiple interests and they either feel overwhelmed with what to start with next, or sometimes they feel like there's something wrong with them because they can't focus and niche down and just focus on one thing.
So with that being said, Cass, if you have a question, we'd love to chat with you about that, or anybody else
to address the
had a question
question.
off of either the journal entries, anything that's spawned from something that someone else may have said, or anything like that.
Yeah, I definitely fit the bill. Was actually just wanted to make sure I didn't take us off topic, kind of on like how to present yourself as somebody who's like interested in a ton of different things or has done a lot of different stuff professionally. What would you go with as far as like managing your LinkedIn presence, doing any kind of writing stuff that you do, or like even Facebook and Twitter or whatever like platforms that you engage with, or even just like writing letters to the editor or anything like that? What is a way like, do you want to partition that and kind of specialize different platforms for different things? Or just go authentic, like, here is me, I like these 8 different things and I have very like deep opinions on all of them. And y'all can just sort it out as we go.
Now, I would love that if you and I were talking. I would want to hear about all of it, right? Because I'm right there with you. But when it comes to, and I'm assuming you're talking about how to promote yourself on social media. Are you a writer?
Yeah, I think that like a lot of our kind of like the way that I'm staying in touch with people that I've worked with over the years is online, and is like just kind of checking in on people as we go through. It might be on different ends of the country now, but yeah, just sort of like making sure that's still like a friendly, open space that I'm not turning anyone off on, but also still like being authentic and not trying to censor myself too much, which I'm very prone to over censoring myself, particularly because I've gotten, you know, different, like, it's challenging to explain, like, I'm a triple major, double degree from like a bachelor's perspective, and then like I did a little bit of grad school, and even just explaining that background when I was early in my career was fairly challenging. So I think that I have a you know, kind of have been burned enough that I want to make the right steps going forward that'll keep opening doors.
Got it. It sounds like to me, just right off the bat, without a lot of other details, because obviously this is limited information, I would use my own personal real estate, maybe in a website, to be able to share all of that, to be able to summarize that on your about page. I've even seen about pages, and I've had them in the past, where you just have a list of different questions and you're able to identify all of those different things. It's a fun way to do an about page that actually highlights all the things that you're doing. That's just not a paragraph or two summing up your, you know, accolades, you know, as far as any awards you've won or education you've taken. Is like snoozer stuff, right? But if you take a more creative approach on your about page, and maybe just fun questions that, you know, I don't even know if it's what was I doing in the 80s, and then you say whatever, you figure out how to, on your about page, lay it out via a question answer format where you can share all of that about yourself. And then on your particular social media platforms, because every social media platform has a specific focus, right? So obviously LinkedIn is more professional. So if this is about how you're generating income in your professional life, then that should be the focus there. If you're on Instagram and you're doing something that allows you to do something visual, then maybe you want to promote yourself in a different way on Instagram. It's interesting with the different social media platforms that they all tend to cater to a specific way that we're being in the world and how you can present yourself. So I personally would never want you to hide any part of who you are. Like I say, own it, who you are, and be able to share that proudly. But also think practically when we're in the world interacting with individuals, and depending on when you're networking and who you're networking with, that is going to overwhelm some people like a tsunami, because they don't get it. They're like, oh my God, I've heard the word flaky in my life. I've heard all kinds of things. That's not what it is. Maybe you love to learn, you're curious, you want to know about different things, and you've actually done that. Be proud of that. Did that answer your question? Was that helpful?
I think so. I think it's reinforced very good advice I've gotten in the past, and that's solid. Yeah, it's interesting to be like, okay, I've done presentations at Comic-Cons, I've done like field archaeology, I have like a public policy background too. So it's just like I don't know where to put any of this.
Right. So again, on your own personal real estate, which is a website where you can kind of massage, pull things together the way you want. Be creative with that.
There we go.
And then in other places, you can decide more specifically what you want to share depending on who your audience is.
I really appreciate that. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on to chat. I love that. That was a great question. And you're an exciting person. I love that. You're doing all of that. That's fun.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Cass. And then Robbi, we have no one currently in the queue, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick to give people some time to think through some more questions if they have them, but also want to introduce a little bit more about coaching.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going to steal the spotlight real quick. Oops. All right, so are you ready to create a life and career you love? What if by this time next year you had healthy relationships that nourish you in your life, a career you actually enjoy going to each day, confidence and clarity on how to achieve your goals, and all doing all of that with someone in your corner? In working with the Vida coach, our coaches help you get aligned by defining your vision for your future, help develop meaningful plans and ways to achieve them, and better understand yourself and recognize the blind spots that are around you. They also help you embody that alignment in managing transitions, creating work-life balance, establishing healthy routines, and identifying what derails you. Additionally, they help you build your toolbox by developing courage, confidence, and self-worth, reframing negative self-talk, and building and strengthening relationships. And so these are just some of the things that our coaches touch on. They all have fantastic backgrounds and experience that they would love to share with you. But in addition to just the things that they can help you out with, the memberships come with a lot of bonuses. For starters, you get access to our ALV community, which is Slack. Instantly grow your network by about 700 plus people. Our Slack channel has all of our current clients as well as all of our coaches in there. And it's a really healthy environment we've been able to create where people post job descriptions, webinars, seminars, discussion posts, and just all sorts of things like that. Another big bonus is that you have access to the entire team of coaches for a celebrity session. So every week we have these weekly webinars, and the coaches that do them alternate, as well as all of our coaches are constantly creating new content in the form of blogs. And if anybody was to ever post something that kind of caught your eye, you wanted to lean into or explore a little bit more about, you would then have the opportunity to substitute any of your sessions with your main coach with any other coach on our team. So you can have celebrity sessions, if you will. So even though you've got your main coach, you have the entire team of coaches behind you, should you ever want to explore any sort of niche skill set that someone else can bring to the table. Additionally, we have ALV members only events where you can meet other like-minded participants and gain expert knowledge across a range of leadership, mindset, and wellness topics. So these are awesome. These are only available to members. So how these webinars are available to everyone, this is on the other side of that. So they're really fun and they're really intimate groups. So you can meet like-minded participants. And then you have instant access to our full e-coaching program suite. So we have all of our courses, all of our e-modules and all that. We spend a lot of time building this proprietary just platform and just different modules that our clients really utilize every day that have helped them create these lives that they love. So we're really excited to share these with you, and they're amazing. And the bonuses alone are worth over about $500, but coaching investments start at $339 a month. And plus, as I mentioned earlier, coming to us from a webinar, you do get your first session free. So if anyone is interested in exploring what those options look like and how they could benefit them, get in contact. You know, there's Robbi's email, there's my email. I'm also going to once again drop the link for my calendar, as well as the link for our website, where you can learn a little bit more about the other coaches on our team and just everything about us as a company. Additionally, I'm going to drop the link to our YouTube channel where you can see past webinars, as well as our Eventbrite where you can see upcoming webinars that we do have scheduled. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing again and see if we've got any more questions. We actually have about 10 minutes left of this. So do we have anyone else that would like to step into the spotlight? Robbi's eager. She's got a lot of knowledge.
Well, oh, great.
You have one hand.
Excellent.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much for participating, and let me put a spotlight on you. The floor is yours.
Hi, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for all the conversations and for all the great questions from the other participants too. Something that I struggle with, unlike Joseph, who gets everything done, I float around to lots of different things, and it's kind of like a surface level interest where I'm not like super passionate about 5 things. I'm just like, oh, this is cool. This is, and it's like 20 things, but a very surface level. I feel like I get held back by that. Like I never get far enough. So I'm curious about your thoughts of like diving in, like you said, like every quarter, like focus on just a couple things versus like, okay, is it okay to have the surface level interest.
It is okay to have the surface level interest. There's one quote that I love, and again, Barbara Sher's book, Refuse to Choose, was just such a great resource for me when it came out. But one of her quotes is, when you lose interest in something, you must always consider the possibility that you've gotten what you came for. You have completed your mission. I love that quote because for some of us, we love learning and we're curious. It's not even about finishing and going all the way through to become an expert or a specialist or to really know that particular topic or subject or whatever we're interested in inside out. It's that we're interested, we're curious, we want to learn. And once we learn what we need, then we're ready to move on. And I love the hummingbird, kind of that visual of a hummingbird just kind of going from flower to flower. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if there's something in your catalog of interests that seems to be more hot than warm or cold, then maybe you can take a deeper dive with that and maybe test it out for a little bit. Sometimes it's about testing it out to see just where our level of commitment is with that. Test it out, go a little bit deeper. And again, today more than ever, we've got all kinds of opportunities to learn about all these different things. Think about Skillshare and Udemy and Coursera and Center of Excellence. There are all of these online platforms that allow us to explore and learn more. And some of them allow us to even get certificates. That's a great way to put your toe in the water and see, am I really interested in this, and maybe taking it a step further? And then if you do it and it's like, you know what, I'm done. I'm cool with that. Then that's a good way to kind of test the waters to see if that interest is a keeper or if it's something that you can check off and move on to the next one. But be a hummingbird and be proud to be a hummingbird.
That's good. Thank you.
Any other questions? And was that helpful?
That was helpful. Yeah. Yeah. It
Okay.
gives me, I guess, peace of mind a little bit. And
Sometimes
encouragement
we
to
just
like,
need that. Yeah, sometimes we just need to know that we're good just the way we are. We're just wired a little differently than maybe what the dominant culture expects.
Yep.
I love it.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Teresa.
Good to meet you too.
All right, thank you so much. And we'll give one final moment here in case anyone has any questions, or we might just end a few minutes early here today.
May I share, may I reshare the resources? I just think it's really cool and important since we got.
And I'd love for you to end us off on some parting words.
Okay. So Elizabeth Gilbert's Super Soul Talk, Don't Chase Your Passion and Maybe You'll Find It. That's where the hummingbird was suggested. Emily Wapnick's TED Talk, Why Some of Us Don't Have One True Calling. So you can definitely check that out. And these resources will also be included when our marketing team posts this and you've registered. So they'll definitely be sharing this. The website PuttyLike, PuttyLike.com. There's a quiz and a community there to determine if you have multiple passions, right? It's a space where multi-potentialites hang out. So you can certainly check that out. I love that site. And so you can definitely check that out. I already talked about her book, How to Be Everything, a guide for those who still don't know what they want to be when they grow up. The Renaissance Soul, How to Make Your Passions Your Life, a creative and practical guide by Margaret Lobenstein. And then, of course, the book Refuse to Choose by Barbara Sher. So those are some resources, and even a community. If you decide that you want to be a part of a community of individuals who have multiple interests, if that's something that calls to you, definitely check that out at puttylike.com. Good stuff.
Yes, well, thank you so much for everything today, Robbi. Thank you everyone again for being here. We look forward to seeing you at future events, and you can expect this recording to be sent out probably tomorrow. So have a great day, everyone, and we will talk soon.
Take care, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Bye.